Welcome to the age of vintage society. I think Bette Davis would probably be burned as a witch if she lived 200 or 300 years ago. She gives the curious feeling of being charged with power which can find no ordinary outlet. How Bette Davis was able to bend people to her will? Make sure to watch the video until the end if you are new here. Don't forget to join our wonderful community by subscribing to my channel, Vintage Hollywood Archive. Bette Davis, a unique personality. 114 years ago in Lowell, Massachusetts, she was not only born near Salem, but she also entered the world like a witch. A bolt of lightning hit a tree in front of the house the moment I was born, she told biographer Charlotte Chandler. A woman who refused to conform to what an actress should be and ended up not only being one of the best actresses of all time, but a model for what actresses in the future could be. She was indestructible since childhood. Ruth Elizabeth Davis, later known as Bette Davis, was born in the middle of a storm on April 5, 1908. Davis's father, Harlow, left the family in 1916. Though her mother Ruthie struggled financially, she managed to send Bette and her sister to various boarding schools, including Ruth's alma mater, Cushing Academy. From her earliest childhood, Davis was a force of nature, able to bend people and places to her will. At the school's annual holiday festivities, Davis always played Santa Claus. One year, she got too close to the candles, which lit the Christmas tree as she tried to find her presents, dressed in her highly flammable costume. She describes the scene. "Suddenly, I was on fire. I started screaming in terror. I heard voices, felt myself being wrapped in a rug, and then silence all around me. Everyone was quite naturally panicked. When the rug was taken off, I decided to keep my eyes closed. Ever the actress. I would make believe I was blind. Her eyes! A shudder of delight went through me. I was in complete command of the moment. I'd never known such power." She also revealed that she always had a firm belief in herself, that she would do something great in life. Before turning into a successful Hollywood star who is known for playing unlikely characters, she was a naive and modest girl who didn't date anyone. The star who got married 4 times was stifled and anxious around men back then. When Bette was 17 years old, a young actor, Henry Fonda, kissed her, and she assumed she was pregnant. A few days later, Fonda was shocked to receive a letter from Bette saying, "I've told my mother about our lovely experience together in the moonlight. She will announce the engagement soon." Fonda avoided her for years. Obviously, that's how any guy could have reacted. Well, young Bette's modesty will become very ironic later on. She was not conventionally beautiful. She was beautiful in her own way, but she lacked the conventional beauty that was required for being a gorgeous Hollywood actress. In the early 1930s, she suffered mean comments about her looks. When she tried to dress more seductively for a screen test, director William Wyler loudly mocked her to the crew and remarked, "What do you think of these dames who show off their chests and think they can get jobs?" Yet there was something unique about Bette, and her career proved that. Her huge eyes were amazing at conveying plenty of emotions with just a glance. It's that separation from the typical beautiful that made Bette Davis unforgettable. She built a presence on screen that drew you in and away from any other actor in the scene with her. Bette began acting while at Cushing, eventually moving to New York City and attending the Robert Milton School of Theater and Dance alongside. Spotted by a talent scout from Universal Studios, Davis was invited to Tinseltown in 1930 for a screen test. She traveled with her mother to Hollywood. A studio employee was at the station to meet her, but left because he didn't see anybody who looked like an actor. After failing her first screen test, the studio used Davis to help with screen tests for other actors. Things seemed to be turning out in her favor when the great cinematographer Carl Freund noticed Bette's lovely eyes and offered her a role in a forthcoming melodrama called Bad Sister. Unfortunately, Bad Sister was not successful. Universal ended her contract, and Bette was about to return to New York when the English actor George Arliss chose her to play the female lead in a Warner Brothers film, The Man Who Played God. This was her huge break, and she was forever thankful to Arliss. She had a unique personality. Whereas most actresses of the era made it to success because of their beauty, Bette Davis succeeded by sheer force of personality. Most actresses at the time wanted to be portrayed as beautiful and innocent women. Bette didn't care about that. Her potential was only realized when she began doing what she was born to do, playing dominating women. She wanted to demonstrate her acting ability, not her looks. Isn't it different? She was also happy to play an older woman or to appear overweight. Bette's roles gave a layered look at female characters. As Margot in All About Eve, she shined a light on a role for an older woman unlike any actress had done before her. She refused to play any boring character, missed many chances because the character was not the kind of woman she preferred to play. She excelled opposite Leslie Howard in the 1934 film version of Somerset Maughams of Human Bondage as a heartless tramp who ensnares a decent man. And she leapt from the screen the following year in a role that could have been written for her, the spiteful alcoholic actress Joyce Heath in Dangerous. That deliciously wicked turn won her the first Oscar, and she was even better as a battling Southern belle in William Wyler's Jezebel, winning her second Oscar. She could sync with the roles she performed. Part of her talent to play tragic characters so well was because of Betty's own life. She was tough in real life, only making her strong characters feel like a part of her, Bette Davis, and not just a character she was playing. Notoriously outspoken, Bette never held back when it came to expressing her opinions and the truth about Hollywood. Her best roles constitute a dazzling display of outrageous, egocentric women, from fiery Southern belle Julie in Jezebel, who dares to wear a red dress to the New Orleans Cosmos Ball, to Baby Jane Hudson, who grotesquely revives her childhood vaudeville career in Whatever Happened to Baby Jane. Both films were box office hits, and for much of her career, she was a top-grossing star. She plays twins twice, A Stolen Life, Dead Ringer, because one Betty is not enough. Of playing Queen Elizabeth I, not once but twice, she remarked, "I always felt great propinquity to the character of Elizabeth. In many ways, we are very alike. But the power to roll heads, this she had over me." Many of her best scenes are pyrotechnical, from shooting her lover 6 times until the smoking gun clicks empty in The Letter, to her trademark flouncing and scenery-chomping dialogue in All About Eve. Fasten your seatbelts, it's going to be a bumpy night. Though she is best known for the bitter and caustic roles, she also entertained audiences with her humor. In 1936, she was suspended by Warner's for refusing to play a role she deemed unworthy of her talent. A messy court case ensued, which she lost, but her courage was duly noted and she emerged from the quarrel strangely unharmed. Despite numerous setbacks, she became a star and was considered one of the great Hollywood beauties in the 1930s. How good she was at rivalry. Bette Davis was famously involved in a feud with actress Joan Crawford. Throughout their careers, the two women were rivals, yet their lives were strangely similar. Both married 4 times and both adopted children. Joan Crawford's daughter famously wrote an exposé best-selling book about her mother, and Betty's daughter did the same about her own mother. In the 30s and 40s, both Joan and Bette were at the top of their game. Crawford was part of MGM and Davis was part of Warner Brothers. So, even though they were competing for America's attention, they rarely had to compete for the same roles. Things started to bubble in 1935 when Bette was filming Dangerous with a handsome guy named Franket Tone. Bette and Joan both fell in love with him, but Joan was fortunate enough to be his partner. Decades later, Bette would open up about this time in her life to journalist Michael Thornton and, "She took him from me. She did it coldly, deliberately, and with complete ruthlessness. I have never forgiven her for that, and never will." When Bette received an Oscar for Dangerous, Franket got up and embraced her, while his now-wife Joan refused to get up and had her back to Bette. After being called out for her rude behavior by Franket, Joan allegedly looked Bette up and down and snidely said, "Dear Bette, what a lovely frock." Things were not terrible until Joan left MGM and got hired. Guess where else? Warner Brothers. What could have been worse than that? Now Bette and Joan were directly competing for the same roles. Around that time, Bette was considering the nominal role in Mildred Pierce, which she eventually turned down. Joan ended up snagging it and won an Oscar for her work. Years of competition and hateful talk emerged between both. After she churlishly turned down a string of plum roles in the mid-1940s, her star began to fade, and by the late 40s, her career was at the verge of downfall. She recovered herself magnificently, again playing a boozy and temperamental actress, in one of her very best films, All About Eve. Her brilliant portrayal of Margot Channing was a hit, but with the aging process, she seemed to be not fit for the good roles as expected. Her personal life was also not very satisfactory at the time, and by 1961, newly divorced, out of work, and at the wrong side of 50, she famously placed an ad in the trade papers that opened with the words, "Job wanted." Her fearless plan worked, and one final comeback ensued, as a deranged former child star in the wonderfully gothic thriller Whatever Happened to Baby Jane. Surprisingly, the best part was that she played opposite her old enemy Joan Crawford in that movie. Can you imagine the behind the scenes of that film? The two actresses were openly hostile to one another, and Davis reserved some of her most vicious witticisms for the unfortunate Crawford, but the two were magnificent together. In the movie, they portrayed what they were, two aging actresses, chillingly. Blanche, Joan Crawford, was bedridden and at the mercy of her sister, Jane, Bette Davis, who had been a child star and was looking to revive her career. It's not incorrect to say that the real animosity between the two actresses played a huge role in the success of the film. Davis received another Oscar nomination. Thereafter, unfortunately, the film work quickly dried up, and Bette Davis started to focus more on television. In 1962, she released her first autobiography, The Lonely Life, and she was finally allowed to torment Crawford, at least fictionally. Following whatever happened, she received several other awards including Lifetime Achievement Awards and television awards before her health deteriorated. While working on the television show Hotel, Davis underwent a mastectomy following a breast cancer diagnosis. Within weeks of the procedure, the actress suffered multiple strokes, leaving her with slurred speech and paralysis on one side of her face and her left arm. Betty's relationship with her daughter, Barbara Beatty Hyman, twisted when Beatty became a born-again Christian. In 1985, Beatty published her book My Mother's Keeper, portraying Davis in a negative light. According to Beatty, her mother was a raging alcoholic who regularly tormented her children. Many people, including Hyman's father and Davis's ex-husband, came to Davis's defense. She was famous for her tough personality, but her daughter's betrayal cut her deep. According to Davis's longtime personal assistant, Davis had suffered a great deal of pain over the years, but nothing compared to the betrayal of Beatty's book. That broke her heart. Later, in This and That, Beatty wrote an open letter to her daughter. I hope someday I will understand the title My Mother's Keeper, if it refers to money, if my memory serves me right. I've been your keeper all these many years. I am continuing to do so as my name has made your book about me a success. Unfortunately, mother and daughter never reconciled. Davis never pitched herself as a victim, and even death was not an exception. As she lay on her deathbed, Davis told her assistant not to let her adopted son come see her. In Davis's words, she didn't want this bedraggled body to be her child's final memory of his once indomitable mother. She passed, with only her assistant at her side, on October 6, 1989, buried with her beloved mother Ruthie and sister Bobby at Forest Lawn in Los Angeles. Following Davis's strict instructions, the caption on her headstone reads, "She did it the hard way." Betty's will revealed that she split her marked wealth between her adopted son Michael and her longtime assistant. Unsurprisingly, she did not leave anything for her daughter Barbara. She wrote on the will that she, intentionally and with full knowledge, left Beatty out of the will. However, she also left her adopted daughter Margot out for some unknown reason. Back when she was married to Gary Merrill, she adopted two children, her son Michael and a daughter named Margot. When Margot was 3 years old, she began to exhibit some health issues, and it turned out that when Margot was born, she suffered a brain injury. Her cognitive development was permanently affected. Betty placed Margot in an institution when she was still a toddler. During Margot's early life, Davis often visited her, but she stopped talking about Margot with passing years. Well, Bette Davis did at least acknowledge that Margot existed. To this day, it's a mystery what exactly happened between them, why she had been shunted to the side, or who is providing for Margot now. She suffered being not so beautiful, yet maintained her difficult and bitter image throughout her life. We never know how heartbroken and mysterious she was from inside. What do you think? Thank you for watching the video till the end. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Also, visit my Patreon page and support my work. See you in the next video. Until then, stay tuned.